Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys 20 tips to get better at Beach Map. Let's get into it. Alright, tip number 1 is to set your color code as 987 if it's daytime and 654 if it's nighttime. Now this will let you blend in the best in land and in the water. You can see right here that I blend in very well. Alright, let's go to the next one. Alright, the second tip is that when there's low number of lava monkeys, you want to stay on zip lines as often as you can. This is because it's going to be harder for them to corner you and trap you, and you can move around and keep distance a lot easier. On the other hand, for tip number 3, if you're good in the water, you want to stay in here when there's a large number of lava monkeys, as it's going to be easier for you to juke them, and it's going to be harder for them to corner you. Tip number 4, one of the most important tips, is to stay observant. If you want to be better at Gorilla Tag and you want to get better, you need to know where everyone is. You need to know where the lava monkeys are, where the plane monkeys are, especially if you're tagged, so that you know where everything is, what's happening, and where you need to go to get away from lava monkeys. Tip number 5 is to warm up before you start playing. Now, I know many of you will not like this and you don't want to warm up, but it's very, very helpful. How many of you guys have been playing for a few hours and your arms just hurt and they're sore? One way you can help this is just by warming up, even for just a few seconds, and just warming up your hands. And plus, if you do it in the game, you look like an absolute Chad who's like warming up before they're playing. I would be scared if I saw someone doing this. Alright, the next few tips are going to be specifically based on if you are running from lava monkeys, what you need to do, and how to get away. For tip number 6, it's to keep your distance. So many monkeys just do not do this for some reason, but it is very important. Keeping your distance allows you to look at the bigger picture and allows you to be flexible while you're playing. Tip number 7 is to have some routes. Now, if you need some for beach, I do have a video on it, so I'll link it in the top right. But routes allow you to have a plan in any situation. Moving on to tip number 8. Now this one is just kind of a general knowledge thing, and it's to remember that there's always a little bit of lag in water. Sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's a little, but don't be surprised if someone is really far away from you and you randomly just get tagged. Alright, moving on to some tips about tagging. Tip number 9 is to always go for the worst players first. This is because it adds more lava monkeys and it'll increase the chance of blocking off pro players and trapping them. Moving on to tip number 10 is to never be scared of getting juked. Sometimes there's really good monkeys and they might be really fast and really good at juking people, but you want to take advantage of this and you want to get juked so that way you learn what their jukes are and how to avoid them next time. So in general, you want to look at pro players as a learning experience instead of like an obstacle so that you can grow and you can become a better player. And finally, the last tip for tagging is you just need experience. So go join competitive lobbies, even join a team and try out for that, because you'll get experience through tagging different people and you'll learn a lot quicker than any tip will give you. Next up is water running. Water running is like a third pillar to beach. There's land, underwater, and then there's water running. So we're going to give you some tips right now. So we're starting off with tip 11. You want to be more consistent than you need to be worried about speed. If you're consistent, you won't fall as much and you'll actually will go faster. Now this is really true for newer water runners, but if you're a good water runner, then you can bypass this and just go for that speed. Now for tip number 12, this one hits close to home because I used to do this a lot. Do not solely rely on water running. The problem is bad players won't be able to catch you, but good players will, and it'll just make a gap where you'll never really get better just because you've always been water running. So just beware of that and remember to use it, but don't abuse it. For tip number 13 is to use the ropes when you're water running to get a lot of height and get across the map very, very easily. I'll show a couple here, but this is something I used to do a lot because you can go all the way across the map and it's a lot easier than trying to pendulum swim or do any other swim. It's a really good way to get across the map very easily. Moving on to the final water running tip, and that is to use dive turning. If you don't know what dive turning is, I'll put a card up at the top right so you guys can watch that video. But it is so useful, and I'll show a few clips of me using it here. It's so great because you can turn and you can really use it to surprise people. So if there's a really good player deep in the water, you can just water run and just dive turn all the way down and tag them without them even being able to think. That wraps up some water running tips. Let's move on to some pendulum swimming tips. Alright, tip number 16, it is to rock back and forth while you're pendulum swimming. I'll include a little body cam so you see what I mean, but it's so important to do this because you'll get a lot more speed, and it's almost like a working system where when you're moving your body, it allows your hands to just swing at a lot faster speed and a lot wider. So do try this out. Tip number 17, I know I already said this, but please guys, try stretching before you pendulum swimming. It'll make everything a lot smoother and you won't feel as stiff. It's so much better if you just stretch. Please try this out. Alright, let's move to the next one. Tip number 18 is a tip because I got a lot of questions about this, and it's with pendulum swimming and moving up while you're doing it. So the way you fix this is you keep your wrist locked on the floor, so you just have them straight down, and then you also have your arm straight down. This will make you just parallel with the ground and you won't be moving up or down at all. Now, you can bring them up slightly if you want to be moving up, but for the most part, you just want to be going straight, so just have them down. Alright, the last two tips are again going to be some overall beach tips. Number 19 is to challenge yourself. If you play a lot of default lobbies, try out some competitive. And if you are playing competitive and you're winning a bunch of your games and you're always the last one, then try joining a team, try trying out in GTCB. I'll include their Discord in the description below so you can join that. And for me, that was literally like game changing because I used to think I was one of the best beach players. When I joined the server, I was humbled really, really quickly. So yeah, always challenge yourself. Alright, we're down to the final tip, and the final tip is to subscribe. I do a lot of tutorials and a lot of guides, so it'll make you a better player and you'll get to learn a bunch of new and fun mechanics. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. Hey everyone, I just wanted to say thank you so much for subscribing. Literally in the past like 2 weeks, we've grown so much, over 1,000 subscribers. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you for all the support in lives and all the videos I make. Thank you guys.